When we are converting decimals to fractions, there are two different methods, and it depends on what kind of decimal you're dealing with. The easier one is when we have a terminating decimal. You can see I have 8 terminating decimals here. The word terminating just means that these numbers end. Okay, you'll see 0.5, that's it. 0.13, that's it. They just end in that spot. And the reason that this makes this easier for us is because when we change this to a fraction, the spot that the last digit is in is going to end up being the denominator of our fraction. So you can see I have a decimal here that goes to the tenths place. This one goes to the hundredths place. This one to the thousandths place, and this one to the 10,000ths place. And I'm just going to take the decimal, that's going to become my numerator without the decimal point, and the place value of the last number is going to be the denominator. So 0.5, because 5 is in the tenths place, becomes 5/10. 0.13, because the 3 is in the hundredths place, it becomes 13 over 100. That's why we refer to these numbers correctly as 5/10, 13 hundredths. This would be 147 thousandths, because the last digit, the 7, is in the thousandths place. And 2467 would be over 10,000. Okay, so it's a pretty simple concept. You just need to know what place value you're going to. And the only other thing that you really have to know about is that in most instances, a teacher will ask you to simplify your fraction as much as possible. So for instance, 5/10 can be reduced to 1/2. So you want to make sure that you're on the lookout for that. It doesn't look like the rest of these can be reduced at all though. Let's look at the second line here. So 0.77 is in the tenths place, so this is 7/10. That cannot be simplified anymore. 0.18, that would be 18 in the hundredths place. That can be reduced. You want to ask yourself, is there a number that you could divide both 18 and 100 by? And off the top of my head, I can see for sure that 2 is going to be divisible by both of these. So if I do 18 divided by 2, I get 9, and 100 divided by 2 gets me 50. Now there's nothing else that I can think of that I can divide out of 9 and 50, so 9/50 is the most simplified fraction here. 0.125 goes all the way to the thousandths place, so this will be 125 over 1,000. If a number ends in a 5 or a 0, that automatically means that it's divisible by 5. Okay, so 125 divided by 5, that might take a little bit of thinking. But I know that 100 divided by 5 is 20, and that 25 divided by 5 is 5. So 125 divided by 5 must just be 25. Okay, I could also think of it as how many quarters, how many 25s will go into 125. Okay, and when I say a quarter, I mean like 25 cents, like money, a quarter. So 25, and then 1,000 divided by 5. So if you broke up 1,000 into 5s, each of those would be 200. And you can see I can still continue on from there. 25 and 200 both end in a 5 or a 0, which means they can still get a 5 divided out of them. I'm going to go down this time so I don't run out of space here. 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 200 divided by 5 would be 40. And look at that, I still can reduce it even more from there. If I take out 5 from both of these, now I'm left with 1/8. Okay, so sometimes you have to reduce, and reduce again before you finally get to the end. So just be aware of that. The last one here, we've got 1,265 over 10,000. Okay, so clearly this can be reduced. This is going to take a long time to kind of figure out how to divide by 5 or 25 or, whatever it's going to be. So I'm not going to do that on video, but just know that this one can be reduced still. Okay, and that is kind of the end of that. Converting a terminating decimal to a fraction, really not that hard. Probably the hardest part is if you get stuck with a problem like this and you're having to reduce it, that can be kind of annoying. But otherwise, they are not too bad.